बलि चढ़ोगे बलि मांगती काढ़ाओ तेरे आगे स्वीकार करो
Ever since The Last Crusade, Indiana Jones fans have gone through a bit of a letdown. Kingdom of the Crystal Skull wasn't very good, and don't even get me started on the Dial of Destiny. It's also been over 15 years since the last Indiana Jones video game. And when I first saw the trailer for this, I was a little skeptical and thought this was going to be another letdown. But man, was I wrong. To quote the great philosopher Warren Buffett,
if you're going to get married, and you want a marriage that's going to last, not necessarily the happiest marriage, or one that Martha Stewart will talk about or anything, but you want a marriage that's going to last. What quality do you look for in a spouse? Do you look for brains? Do you look for humor? Do you look for character? Do you look for beauty? No. You look for low expectations. I mean, that is the marriage that's going to last.
I think the low expectations that I had definitely played a part into how much I love this game. But low expectations aside, I think this is an awesome game, and it's easy to fall in love with. Here's why. To start, this game has an awesome intro where they recreate the opening scene of Raiders of the Lost Ark, and it doesn't necessarily have anything to do with the rest of the story, but it's an awesome introduction to the gameplay. Plus, they do an awesome job at staying exactly faithful to how it plays out in the movie.
Down to the last minute details.
Now, initially you might compare this game to Uncharted, where there's a lot of exploring and shooting guns, but that's kind of out of Indiana Jones's character in the movies. Going in guns a-blazing hardly ever works. And not only is that because Indiana Jones doesn't really do that in the movies, but the only gun that you really carry is a pistol. Sure, you can take other people's guns and start shooting, but it usually ends pretty quick. Even though this game doesn't satisfy the very American urge that I have to shoot a gun, the combat is very satisfying. It's a nice change of pace, and it's great playing as the Indiana Jones that you know and love, and not the Indiana Jones in Dial of Destiny. But if you converted this game into a longer movie and stuck it in with the first 3 movies, it wouldn't really feel out of place at all. You can tell that the developers wanted to make this game as close to the movies as possible. It takes elements like the presence of a blimp, map travel, Dr. Jones's rational fear of snakes, and that satisfying punching sound is the exact same.
Watch and learn.
The dialogue also sounds very Indiana Jonesy too.
Sorry. We don't mind.
Feels like they're staring at me.
Oh, don't worry. They're very dead.
I hope they stay that way.
I love the way that he solves puzzles because it's just like he does in the movies. There are so many other elements that they included in this game that it would take a while to list them all. But check this scene out. It's exactly like something you would see in the movies. This game is also filled with lots of beautiful different locations.
Welcome to the Himalayas!
And you get to visit places all around the world such as Egypt,
Justice lies with the Egyptian gods.
Shanghai, and even the Vatican. And all these different places have different features that make them even more memorable. Who could forget an enormous ship on the top of a mountain in the Himalayas? In this game, there's a lot of great characters that would fit right in the original movies. And there's even people from the original movies too. But the main villain in this game is Dr. Voss. And every time I see him, all I can picture is Sketch. I can't be the only one that sees this, right? And Voss is pretty crazy.
Ihren peinlichen Versuch, Dominanz zu zeigen, zu unterstreichen.
Not only are the settings and characters great, but the gameplay mechanics are probably the best part of this game. A majority of the combat consists of you grabbing random objects and smacking these guys around. And like a lot of stealth-oriented games, you can pick up their bodies and hide them so that they don't get discovered by other people. You also got this classic whip that you can use to disarm your opponents. It wouldn't be an Indiana Jones game without it. And when someone's shooting at you, it's usually the best defense. And you, of course, also use your whip for exploring and getting around. Now, one complaint that I do have about this game is that the traversal can be a little weird sometimes. You kind of shimmy around and climb on objects quite a bit, but there are times where it's a little hard to tell where you need to be climbing around. With each main level, you'll usually visit a merchant that'll allow for you to buy a key item that you'll use quite a bit throughout the rest of the game. And the progression system is a little interesting where it seems like a majority of the leveling up that you do is by taking pictures. And when you acquire enough points, you can buy books that'll enhance your abilities. Again, I really like this game a lot, but there are some things that make the gameplay a little buggy or awkward. There's things like this, where you can somehow throw statues through these metal bars. Or even in combat, if you're not on the same level as someone, then it's hard to actually fight them. And sometimes it can mess things up when you're trying to be sneaky and you throw a punch and it doesn't hit them, but it makes noise, and it's just a mess. Or even if you're on the same level as the person that you're trying to attack, it can sometimes just be really clanky. It would also be really hard to make it through this game without accidentally falling or going somewhere where you shouldn't. There is one thing that kind of works in your favor though, where if you're fighting someone, the other AI won't really detect it unless they're pretty close. There's also these dang scorpions that you can never get rid of. And they also kind of look like something you'd see in a game from 20 years ago. For a big chunk of the game, you spend a lot of time with Gina, and for some reason, she can be very glitchy. Like this right here, where she's actually impersonating the people you're fighting.
Help me up.
Or at other times, she'll be stuck repeating the same thing over and over again.
Help me up. Dr. Jones, come on. Help me up.
I guess the last complaint that I have is that there's parts of the game that I wish could be more immersive. Like I wish you could actually climb these pyramids, or whip icicles. Or in Egypt, you can't cross these train tracks, and so you gotta go all the way back to where there's a gap under the bridge. Now, these complaints are just minor, and I think that this game is awesome. There's a lot of exploring you can do, and it's great just seeing the classic Indiana Jones. But let me know what you think. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful and blessed day.